Today we're talking about how to build an emergency fund from zero, how to start from scratch quickly, get it up and running, where to store it, what kind of budgets you can use to maintain this, and how you can grow it over time. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for when I post every Friday about bits, tips, and tricks that can help you save money and gain financial freedom. Now, it may seem like you're behind the curve if you haven't already started an emergency fund and you're watching this video trying to see how you can accumulate some cash together. But I'm here to tell you that the best time for you to start is today, because there's no better time than now. You need at least a 3 to 6 month emergency fund in case you lose your job or you have unexpected medical expenses or your car breaks down and you've got to be able to figure out how you're going to pay these things. Now, Bankrate did a study in June 2019 and it showed that 28% of Americans don't even have an emergency fund. And the amount of people that at least had $1,000 saved up in their emergency fund was even smaller. Now, if you're having trouble starting this fund, now's a great time to do it because tax season is just really right around the corner, and most Americans, about 53 million Americans so far, have gotten their tax refunds back. Use this tax refund and do not spend it on things you don't need, but use this to jumpstart your emergency fund. The first step you got to do is get an online savings account if you don't already have one. Make sure you get a good rate that's available to you, and you can open up an online savings account in as little as 10 minutes. This will help you grow your money at a quicker rate using compound interest faster than a brick and mortar bank like Chase Bank of America or Wells Fargo. You can also skip the minimum dollar threshold that these brick and mortar banks charge you if you have a low balance in your account. So if you're just getting started and you can barely even scrap together $50, then you don't want to be paying things like maintenance fees at other banks that will charge you each month. And online savings accounts are just as great, if not better, than brick and mortar savings accounts because they are FDIC insured up to $250,000, so your money is safe there as well. So now that you've got the account, now you've got to actually start putting money into this account. The first thing you should do is set up automatic deposits to make sure you pay yourself first. Start small just by selling away $25 a month, and before you know it, over 12 months, you'll have $300 saved up in that account. So at this point in the video, you know that you're trying to build at least 3 months worth of an emergency fund up. You've now opened up a savings account for you to be able to hold that money, and now you're doing automatic deposits at least $25 minimum in order to start funding that account. The next thing you have to do to make sure that you're going to stay on track is to use a budget. Budgeting forces you to map out your objectives and stick to them by holding you accountable for those purchases that you make in that budget. This in turn also helps you make sure you don't overspend on money that you weren't looking to spend in the first place. If you're using credit cards with this as well, this will also help you make sure you don't overspend on your credit card. Budgeting will also help you realize what bad spending habits you might have or reveal certain payments to you that you didn't even realize you were still spending money on. This is paramount in order for you to be able to help you save the maximum amount of money that you want to be able to. If you're struggling with just being able to settle $25 in an account, then this is something that you definitely got to do, which will be looking at your spending habits and seeing what you can reduce. Now, there's a couple type of budgets for you that if you want to hear more in depth about, you can click the card that's up here for my last video that talks all about budgeting and the different types of budgets that you can do to start off. The first budget you can use is a 50-30-20 budget. This will account for 50% of your needs, 30% of your wants, and 20% for your retirement and savings. This budget will greatly reduce the amount of time that you have to spend sorting things out into their respective categories. If you're doing something that's for food and something that's for your car, then these go into the needs sections. Things like Hulu and Netflix will go into the wants, and of course, adding to your 401k and paying down debt will go into your savings and retirement section, which is 20% of that budget. Be real and honest with yourself. This budget can't work if you're not real and honest about your needs and your wants and which ones need to be in which category. The next type of budget you can do is envelope budgeting or cash only budgeting, which basically means that you go to an ATM and you use $200 for groceries, so you only take out $200, You stuffed all that money in an envelope and you use only that money for groceries, and once the money is gone, you don't spend anymore. If you struggle with overspending, this might be one of the ideal budgets for you to start off with, because once you're out of money, you can simply see physically that you don't have any more left to spend and you're done. Now, this budget is fairly strict in a sense because you can only use cash, and once the cash is done, you can't spend any more. So the question is, what do you do about emergencies? Now, it's okay for you to get a little bit more money out of your account or use a credit card if you're already doing so, for emergencies only. Only emergencies. And as always with this cash only budgeting or envelope budgeting system, you keep track of that money, because if you lose that money, since it's now cash, well, then that money is gone, which could be a downfall of this budget if you're a person that probably forgets things or loses things pretty often. Now, one of the more favorite choices is the zero-based budget. This is when you give every dollar in your account a job and you delegate a certain role or responsibility to that dollar. This budget allows you to micromanage your money and stay on top of it, but because of that, it is very time consuming. So if you're not going to stick with it, then this is probably not the budget for you, because once you get lost in this budget because you haven't been keeping track, it gets a little bit complex to sync up and remember what you did previously with the money that was unaccounted for. Remember, if you're going to budget, it's got to be a budget that you're going to be able to stick with. So make sure when you're picking between what type of budget you want to do, if you know in advance starting out on this budget that it's going to be a challenge for you, then maybe try some of the other ones, because remember, the goal is to start up an emergency fund from scratch as soon as possible and as quickly as you can. And you can only do that if you actually stick to your budget. So at this point, we've covered having a 3-month emergency fund, and now you're storing this fund in a savings account, and you're dedicating at least a minimum of $25 to it, and you're staying on track using one of the budgeting systems that I mentioned previously. Now, if you're having trouble just being able to scrap up the $25 that you need to just start off the account, here's some good ideas for you to use if you're struggling with that. If you're using a credit card, take your credit card reward points and deposit them into your savings account. Once you hit the minimum threshold and you're able to take this money out, then the money's just sitting there not doing anything for you. Once you can redeem it, take it out, slap it in a savings account, get some high yielding interest on it, so that way it helps compound quicker and gets you more money over time. If you have any policies like renter's insurance and auto insurance, look for a way to be able to combine those insurances. Chances are that usually you can get a cheaper rate for all of them if you're able to bundle them. And all the money that you save from bundling that, you simply just take that money and add it to your emergency fund. Save money on your electric bill by washing your clothes and running your dishwasher and drying your clothes during off-peak hours. This can save a significant amount of money if you've already got a consistent electric bill. Then you just basically take those savings that have been reduced from your bill and then take them and put those into your savings account. If you have cable, look at cutting the cord on your cable and getting some subscriptions and paying for internet. This usually turns out to be cheaper than you just paying for a full bundle package from places like DirecTV. But if you still want to keep them, then make sure that you look at all the channels and the packages that you currently have, see which ones you're not using and see which ones you can get rid of. And of course as well, call in to see if there's a promotion for you that you can use, which will also help you save money. Once you've got that done, then any money that you do save, take the difference of what you've been paying before and take those savings and then put those into your savings accounts as well. You can also get a side hustle, especially right now in today's climate. You can get a side hustle for delivering groceries or just being a warehouse worker in general. Kroger is hiring 10,000 new associates nationwide to help in their stores. This includes retail stores, manufacturing, and distribution centers. 7-Eleven also just announced that they'll be hiring as much as 20,000 new employees. And earlier this week, Amazon announced plans to hire over 100,000 workers to be able to keep up with the demand for things like Amazon Fresh and Amazon Prime. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed any of this content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I post a new video on Friday. If you learned anything from this video, make sure you leave a like on it and leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought of this video. You can also find me on Twitter, where where I talk about stocks and real estate daily. And also go check me out on Instagram, where you can also learn short bits, tips, and tricks, just like in this video, in a different style format. If you're on Instagram as well, make sure to follow and add me and like those things on there as well. Hopefully these tips can help you build your emergency up from zero to using it for a bill that you can need in a time of financial hardship by following these steps.